This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. We are not doctors, and the content here should not replace professional medical advice. Always speak with your healthcare provider before making any medical decisions.
All right, today we're back with Naomi, and we're talking all things female mental health, and we're actually touching a little bit on male mental health too. We're going to talk about why you don't want to swim against the current. We're going to talk about solutions you should look at before necessarily running to medications to treat any depression type systems. We're going to talk about phases in life. Interestingly enough, we're also going to talk about the prioritizing hormonal phases and understanding how that works, how to optimize your biology, and most importantly, why a calendar can be your absolute best friend for success, and even somehow how to deal with past traumas and PTSD of things you've encountered while building your business. I'm Dennis.
And I'm Greg,
And this is the More Profit, Less Stress podcast,
where we provide the tools for more profit and less stress in your business now so you can turn into a valuable asset later. Welcome to the More Profit, Less Stress podcast. I'm Greg Forzani here with Dennis Takema, and our guests today are Naomi Keane and Sandra Knezevichuta. And we're going to be speaking about, so it's National Women's Health Awareness Month in the US, week in Canada. So, hey, Canada, you're 3 weeks behind. And we want to get into, again, we're the More Profit, Less Stress podcast. So it's about businesses, business owners. So we want to get into this subject from sort of a business owner's point of view and focusing on women and health, etc. So Naomi, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And give us a quick, I know we've done 2 podcasts with you already, but still give us the quick, what business do you own? Explain a little bit about that business, where you're located. And actually, if you can add maybe from a women's health perspective, because I know you have a background in health before you got in this business, like an extensive one, training, etc. Maybe just get into that just a little bit to set the benchmark as to why you're a great guest for this subject.
Yes. My name is Naomi. I'm located just outside of Calgary, Alberta. That's just above Montana. And I have been running businesses here for just almost 10 years now, which has been great. Originally from British Columbia, so on the West Coast. And over the last decade, I'm in my 40s now, I have learned a lot about running a business and learned a lot about optimizing my business. And that is through the better I know myself, my team, systems, seasons, and I can create systems that match all of that. I'm functioning better. And not only is the business better, but my mental health is better. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I started out in the fitness world, everything from training, ambassadorship, teaching, online programs, to running full big gyms. Went through COVID, hated it, died a few times. And through that, I got to learn how to up-level my skills. And from there, I'm now in the med spa world. And I'm learning that there's lots of things in business, that it doesn't matter what your avenue is, but the systems and the protocols and the procedures kind of like all move one after another. And so now in my 40s, energy's different. There's different things happening in my body. There's different things happening in my business. And having those tools and those systems and the knowledge of how to manage myself and how to optimize myself has made my business more enjoyable, more profitable, and also my team. Like everything is just running better. But it took a lot of self-learning and a lot of hard times to get here.
Well, and going through a couple of businesses in itself is a stressful experience that most people don't recover from, let alone continue and go start another one. It's like, I had that experience. I'm just going to pack my bags up and go work for somebody else and do the 9 to 5. And that alone is a stressful thing to go through. I can't imagine everything else that went along with that.
Yeah. And I think too, Dennis, there's this I don't know if this is a male female thing, but I definitely think there's a lot of high achievers and performers that end up in business ownership, and we have a lot of ego.
Yep.
So stress doesn't bother us. I can't tell you how many times doctors, family, friends, like clients, staff, you're just so stressed out. You must be so stressed. Like you've got too much stress on your plate. And I'd be like, no, like I'm good. Like look at everything that's getting output right now. I feel great. I'm fine. But learning now that a lot of my mental health and the well-being of the business were paired. If I was well, it was well. If it was well, I was well. And part of that now is really being able to manage the stress and know what is stressful and not let ego tell me that I got this hard thing. It's fine. It's not that bad, Dennis, going back to work. It's not that bad closing. Like, no, your body remembers.
Mm-hmm. It carries the
Yeah.
trauma
Hey,
for sure.
Yeah.
that's an interesting perspective you just brought up. So, what are some signs people could, like, what did you notice or catch that, hey, this is maybe my ego saying I can deal with this versus, like, what are things that you would say catch that? Like, how did you
Yeah,
notice, like, it's my ego and not my,
yep, I would definitely say my pillars right now are sleep, energy, digestion, and my newest pillar that I gauge is endurance. And so in the beginning, ego was like, and we hear it like speed is king in this business, right? Like sometimes the
Go, go, go,
fastest
go.
way, yeah, right? And just make a decision and go. It's better than not making a decision and just sitting and pondering and what should I do? Like time is money. So there's that. There's also, especially I think if you're working with coaches or you have other fellow business leaders, like you're out to prove yourself. So that endurance piece is really new for me. It's not about what can I do as fast as I can do it, but now it's like, what can I sustain the longest with the least amount of effort?
Now,
And
for you,
yeah.
did that come about due to age or just due to different phases you've gone through in business? Because I know in my own life as a guy, my energy levels and everything else fluctuate a lot different at 45 than it did at 25. And so then my outlook and my pursuit of something changes based upon age and stage. Do you find that in this situation, the shift for you about efficiency and everything has been more of a, hey, wait a minute, I just can't do what I used to do? Or you just realized doing what I used to do is stupid?
No, I completely agree. I wouldn't say at the beginning I noticed, Dennis, but what I noticed the conversation in my head starting to shift and then conversations with peers was, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like my capacity isn't the same. Like something is wrong with me. How could I do this before? Like I would sleep in my business. Like I would go home and shower maybe once, I'd
Been
pull
there.
all-nighters days and days in a row. And like,
Yeah.
there's no way I could do that now or no way I would want to do that now. So yeah, I did notice. I also, Dennis, noticed in the last couple of years, the stress load isn't the same and the workload isn't the same. So there's something wrong. Like my capacity isn't the same, but like the stress is way lower. The tasks at hand are way lower. The things are, and the problems are way more simple, but it feels just as heavy and just as much and just as challenging and daunting as it did 10 years ago. So yeah.
From a mental health perspective, things have slowed down to the point where it doesn't make sense why you should be stressed out or wired up, but yet somehow the brain still runs in that PTSD mode of, I got to make sure it doesn't fall apart, is what it sounds like you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what have you done to kind of handle that? Like, and again, we talked before in one of our previous podcasts where your mentality was like, you know what? I'm just going to burn it down. I don't care anymore. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done with it. It's going well.
I remember hearing those words.
Where's the matches? Where's the gasoline? I don't care. And people would say, well, you're at a good place. You should move. You should push harder. You should go. And it's no, I just don't care. And now you're talking about being in a place of, I care. I don't have the same capacity I used to. So how have you handled all of that?
I think it's two phases for sure. There's biology and then there is like emotional intrinsic desire. And so learning about biology and then reevaluating what your why is and keeping that so strong and so clear is super important. And so obviously like your doctors, your physicians, your personal self-study for the biology side, tracking your cycle, all of those things, recognizing your age, where you are, and then the clear vision side and having leaders and mentors and coaches and family that know you and other business owners that can kind of hold you to that vision that you have and hold you to what they know your capabilities are, but also unattached at the same time, that whatever advice or support they're giving you is really to the highest good of you. Because when you're in that, hard, challenging time, you don't care. And you don't need your star employee telling you like what the vision of the business needs to be, because they have something to gain or lose based on what decision you make. So I've learned like there is ownership and duty on our part as business owners to understand our biology. It's our responsibility to show up physically as best as we can. And for everyone, that's going to look different. Like, how are you working out? What are you eating? What doctors do you see? What do you know about any ailments you might have? Where you are in your cycle? That's your responsibility. Just like we know in busy season in business, you have, the marketing plan to ramp up during that busy time. The slow time, you have the systems to handle, cash flow at that time. It's the same in our physical body. And then this vision, you need to have a really strong why. And I think that's where I got tripped up, Dennis, is in those challenging times when I was saying, I don't care. I didn't have a vision. I
You have
am
a
not
reason.
married. Yeah, I don't have kids. I didn't have this massive, like, you have to show up. Like, I could have burnt it down. I probably should have found somebody to burn them down. But I didn't have that why. So I really depended on the circle that was around me.
So when you went down this journey, because I think mental health is one of those things where I said to my wife, I would rather walk into a building with a broken leg and a cast than have to deal with something like depression. Because when somebody sees you in a cast, they go, hey, wait, there's the problem. I get it. I'll have mercy on you. I understand you can't run. You can't do the things. If I walk into a room and I'm dealing with depression or anxiety or stress or whatever, it doesn't show on my body. So people are like, well, just toughen it up. You're being stupid. You're being an idiot. Like there's this thing of if I can't see that you have a problem, I don't believe you have a problem. So when you're going through all of this stuff, when did you start tying the biology into the mentality?
Well, I didn't for a really long time, Dennis, to be honest. I also would like to plug, like, coming back to the ego piece, we're owners. So we have to show up. We can't actually be our most authentic, vulnerable, truest self around our team or our clients. And I don't know if you're in business and you can, like, I'd love to hear you, but every time I have amazing staff and amazing loyal customers, but anytime I've been that vulnerable of, like, you want to see my bank balance? You want to see my KPIs? Like, you want to see what the government restrictions are? Like, whatever. Or yeah, I'm clinically depressed and, recently learning about PPMD and how serious that is for some women. Anytime I was vulnerable, it was always thrown in my face. And so it would have been a snarky comment online from some mean moms group or staff, like, not trusting you now because now this leader who's carrying us, she's not well. Like, what's going to happen to her job? Where are we going to go? What, are we moving ahead in the business? Is she just going to close the doors one day? So it was super hard. And I think part of the challenge with it not being a broken arm or a broken foot is at the same time, there is this mask that we have to, have on in a big part of our life when being a business owner.
PPMD, what's that?
It is a mental psychiatric disorder where when your progesterone and your estrogen drop, so luteal phase, so halfway through your cycle, for some women, this can be like 2 weeks of the entire month, so half the month. It's described as like the bottom dropping out. This whole I don't care, like blow the world up, suicidal, like deeper than chronic depression, correlated to histamine response and correlated to the drop in both estrogen and progesterone. So some women have it their whole life. And I think what I'm learning now in my business, coaching women 10 years younger than me, I came from the decade of like birth control was a thing. And so we were put on birth control when we were in our teens to clear up our face. And that was just what we did. And as girls, we liked not getting our period. This was amazing. So we never had the ability to understand our biology well. We didn't learn about the cycles. And so women that are my age now in their late 30s, early mid 40s, were like, oh, there's cycles? Like, describe them. And light bulbs are turning on, husbands, boyfriends, business partners, acquaintances are like, oh yeah, like she's going crazy at this time. It's a thing. Like, I don't like to use that word, but it's kind of a thing.
What I hear you saying is part of the mental health thing is understanding what's normal.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like if I'm going through a phase where the floor drops out, it's not what the fuck is wrong with me. The whole world's failing, all of this stuff. Sorry for swearing. But it's just, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what happened. I can put some logic to it and I can deal with it at a different capacity than I can if it's just hitting me blindsided.
Yeah. And I wish, Dennis, I would have known about PPMD. I wish I would have really known the power of the luteal phase for somebody who, most of the time is like really here. And then, with hard, challenging business, I spent any time I'm in my low cycle, it was like, felt 10 times worse than it was. I also recognize though at the same time now, most people would have never survived and wouldn't be able to fight through it. So I try to come with that empathy. But yeah, if I had understand those tools better, there would have been way more empathy and also grace and just like, this isn't the week to make these hard decisions. This is the week to roll. This is, I should have extra staffing these weeks. This is when I need a part-time assistant at this time. Like tools over self-punishment and shame. Also knowing how to leverage and protect your business during those seasons. And now in a place where I can be like, I know what's going to make me thrive. And setting up the system in the business to help with all of those seasonal changes.
That's actually that's a gold nugget right there. I think like, if our focus is business owners, what you just said's great advice, right? Learn how to manage it and get ahead of it and be proactive so the business also succeeds, like in the best interest of the business, right? Yeah. Instead of using it as like, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but instead of that's probably the wrong word, but instead of
like a tool,
just allowing,
like
yeah.
a
So instead of
tool.
allowing it to happen, what are you doing to get ahead of it? Be proactive, set the business up that way. That's actually that's insightful. That's
Yeah, I
good
think like
realization and good advice.
I was in my early 30s, mid 30s when I came on coaching with Greg, and I learned numbers like inside and out, and that was amazing. And I think if I'd learned about my cycle at that time, and when I do the hard things, like don't implement a new tool in your business in your luteal phase, like just don't do it. Right.
Right.
I think I would have saved myself a lot of self-shaming. Because I think part of the mental health piece too is we're so hard on ourselves, right? Business owners and entrepreneurship attracts high achievers, creative thinkers, our ADHD, our, like geniuses. And at the same time, we know we can do the thing. We know this is possible. We are so inspired with the idea, and some of us fail as we get there. That's like our MBA in business. But as women and our mental health, like this wasn't taught. Like Sandra, I don't know, like it was never taught. And I'm only learning about it because now in perimenopause, it's way more extreme. And like what was a normal cycle before, like you can't predict what my estrogen and progesterone is going to be like from month to month. So, oh my goodness.
And it really depends also on how you exercise, how you eat, right? So like how pronounced those symptoms are that you're talking about, because somebody who's more active eating healthier food, some of these symptoms may not be as pronounced. Like in my life, like I know women like the PMS symptoms are like they're all over the place. Like some cannot get out of bed. Some like, oh, fine, I don't feel any pain anywhere. So that is probably like really important as well. And also probably depends on your genetics as well, right? Like how sensitive and how pronounced those symptoms might be.
Yeah. And things like what Dennis had said about trauma and PTSD. So I'm learning recently, I follow Dr. Marie Haver-Claire. She's like so amazing in the States. If you're not following her, get on every single podcast that she has. Follow her on YouTube. She's amazing. She's out of Galveston, and she's the weighted vest walker, all of the things. Through her work, I'm learning now that things like PTSD and trauma that can induce some more severe PMS symptoms, but also your experience through perimenopause. And women who don't have children are showing to have worse experience because they don't have that 2-year flux of this beautiful hormone as they're growing a baby, breastfeeding a baby, and then coming back to their body. They don't have that hormonal resiliency. And so for me, and I think we're going to see a generation of it, like lots of my younger friends that are in business, like they're also not having kids. It's a lot of work. We know we could talk about, the world, but females, the young 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds that I get to work with and see in the community, they're excited. They have all these brilliant business ideas. They can open their phone and get going. They're not traditional brick and mortar, but they're doing great. But they have at the same time all of the same things. And I'm, a huge advocate for women's mental health, but specifically in business. Like business owners, we got it hard because we want big, beautiful things. We have audacious goals. We know ourselves and our ability, and yet we have this whole biological side that has to be considered and it has to be learned. I think, Greg, to go back to what you're saying, I think it's a tool that you can harness. And once you have it harnessed, I think it can really tax what you're doing, not only financially in your business, but in terms of your business joy and your life fulfillment.
So what you're saying is don't fight against rhythms. Learn to harness the rhythms. Don't see the rhythm as being the problem. Learn to ride the wave.
And that's the opposite in business, right?
Well, and what you're saying is that if you're not aware of those rhythms, then there's going to be a time frame where I'm swimming against the current and I don't realize I'm swimming against the current. I can blame my own mental health. I can blame my own energy. I can blame people around me. I can blame all kinds of things, just not understanding that I'm going the wrong way at the wrong time versus learning to move when I'm supposed to move.
And then go to a doctor and get antidepressant on top of it because you can't deal with your stress, right? And that does not give you actual solution. It depletes the hormones that we actually need for the rest of the balance to happen, right?
Yeah. And Dennis, just like you said, and the opposite, like I come to you guys, I'm like, okay, like laser season in a med spa world, we don't laser in the summer. So I have these big, huge devices. They cost us money. And I was med spas don't make money in the summer. Like whatever. No, Greg wants to create a system. What are we marketing? What can we do to create predictable cash flow? So you learn that mentality as a business owner. If there's a problem, we find a solution, we implement, we create the SOP, and then we roll and we fixed it. But in females' mental health and biology, just like you said, Dennis, here we are, like trying to fix. And I was like, well, if I had just gone with it and learned how to harness it, not feel shame around it, and just schedule, like, big rocks, little rocks during certain times that make sense, I think I could have saved myself a lot of stress and sorrow and tears and, oh my goodness.
Well,
yeah.
And to Sandra's point, if you're in that phase where life is hard, and that's the phase where you go to, or the time frame phase could be either years or weeks, whatever. That's when you end up at the doctor's office, and that's when you ask for the antidepressant. Well, now you're on a chemical thing you never needed, but that chemical thing doesn't just go away when the phase changes. The chemical the chemical mechanism is still there. And I think when Sandra said antidepressants, when I started diving down the road of SSRIs and what these antidepressants do, and the fact that people are having mental breakdowns, destroying their minds, having massive biological problems trying to come off of them, hitting that at the wrong phase when you don't need it could be a massive life-altering event for no reason.
The first time I was like really open about my mental health with my practitioners, and this is like, a few years after COVID, like there is no reason for me to feel this bad and struggle this much. I hate my work. I don't want to touch it. I'm unmotivated. I don't want to go to class. Like all the things that I was thriving at and really enjoyed and looked forward to doing and excelling at very easily, like debilitatingly avoidable. Like I just didn't want to, but I also at the same time didn't want to sell my business. So I had to show up. I had to figure something out. Go to a GP instantly, antipsychotic, a proton pump inhibitor because I had bad digestion, but that was, my vagus nerve like telling me everything is too much right now. Mood stabilizer and a sleeping pill.
Wow.
And all I probably needed was some pregnenolone and progesterone. And this was, 7 years ago. So that was the start of what's going on. Right? I didn't even know what perimenopause was. I didn't even know the cycles of my period. Like no one ever taught that to me. It wasn't taught in school. I am a yoga teacher, and I always thought the hippy dippy yoga teachers that were like, I'm in my luteal phase. I'm going to get a sub. Who are you? Like, show up, girlfriend. Like, that's so embarrassing. Like, don't do us a disservice. Like, no. But now I understand, and I'm so inspired by them, watching these women in my circle that are raising young daughters to be aware of that. And also at the same time, their husbands are aware, their sons are aware, their, male employees are aware. Like this isn't a weird thing that we don't talk about anymore. So instead it's a thing that we all, it makes everybody's life better if we all just understand where women are in their cycle. And I think it just helps everybody support mental health and a lot better.
I'm getting shivers listening to that.
Right?
It's really exciting for the younger generation. I think anyway, talk about the acceptance of the biology, right? Don't look at it like there's no like the bad, oh, she's just PMSing, like it's such a slap in the face for a woman as when I feel like, oh, she's just like emotional because she's on the PMS, she's on like her whatever, like it's such a stark difference between our grandmothers, mothers, us, and then the rest generation coming. And I think it's super exciting time in not just women's health, but also men's as well, because that's going to come with it. Right?
Yeah. And I've found too, Sandra, like I had this whole season of always like shaming. That was kind of my programming. Also probably how I was raised. I've had a chip on my shoulder to prove myself after COVID. I'm like really resentful that all this stuff was happening in business when, set up not for success and yet was still doing so well. And then, whatever. So lots of ego, always lots of ego. I think it's a business owner thing, I think. And now I wish like not to shame during the times that we're not our best, but can we change the conversation around, tell me about the 2 weeks that you're going to crush in the month? And like, how are we setting up those systems so that I can be more productive in just 2 weeks than like kind of half shitty for like 4, right? Because I wasn't doing well for 2 and it would take me a little bit to recover. And then I'm kind of behind. I never can like implement a new tool fully. I can never, get that big rock done. And then I'm back into that shit cycle again. And so if I had just known how to optimize and protect that energy endurance, that mental health, like all the pieces that we need for just those 2 weeks, and everything functioned around then, I think I could have done a lot different over the last 10 years in business.
So somebody listening to this has got to right now be thinking, okay, so what are some things I can do to optimize like that? Like what, like, is it nutrition? Is it physical exercise? Is it like, just hit on
Well,
some things. I mean, there's probably 10 hours worth of answers there, but, but can
yeah.
we do it in one podcast?
Yeah. I would say first and foremost, I would get off of hormonal birth control so that you actually
Yeah.
know when you're getting your period and when you're not. I think that's super important. And then track it. I wear a Whoop. I really love it because I don't like the digital, like whatever, wear a health watch and track all the stuff. I think those tools are amazing. I hate when people are on their iPhone watches and they're talking to you and they look down. I hate that. It's a no Apple Watch rule in my staff because I think it's so rude.
It is annoying. For
Right?
the other people, it's super annoying.
Yeah, I wear a Whoop and specifically for this. I use it for temperature control, all of just basically hormonal regulation and tracking is what I wear. So I've learned to get that. I've seen the patterns. I've been able to print out the data. So just like we're reading a KPI in a business over a year or, a P&L, like this is my body's PML right now. So that's tool one. I did say when Dennis asked the first thing, I said sleep. No matter what. Like it's the basics. When we're not well, I guarantee you're not sleeping well, you're eating like shit, you haven't moved your body, and you're not breathing deeply. Like we hear these things. It's not redundant anymore. It's a necessity. Filing your taxes in your business is a necessity. Having an employee schedule, it's a necessity. So those are our necessities. I think in the beginning era of business, what did we do? We didn't care. I work all day. I'll sleep for an hour. I don't care what I eat. I don't need to eat. Did I stop to drink water? No. Like this is the season of crushing. So again, like I answered to Dennis, my big new focus is endurance. And so we need the basics covered. If you're female, track your cycle and then make sleep part of your job. Make nutrition and it can be simple. If you're not eating, 3 solid meals a day. Okay. Obviously, we know whole foods, and I encourage a carnivore-based diet. I think it's a lower histamine diet. It seems to work with more people, higher protein focus. Sugar is the devil. It's going to interrupt your cycle, your mood, your blood, all of the things we know. So I kind of focus on that. But like sometimes we're at the space in business where, well, someone brought me Tim Hortons. Okay, I'm going to eat it because I haven't stopped working in 12 hours. Like, know your season. You have to prepare. You can't just hope your taxes get done. We have to do all the little month-end tasks along the way, right? So you have to get the grocery shopping. I don't care, Instacart it. Get pre-meals made and ordered to you. You're going to save money. I think you think it's expensive or whatever, or you think you can just cook and, it's like people in business that don't get EAs. Like, no, man, you make this, they cost this, outsource. So get your food sorted and then move your body. If you need to have a personal trainer come to you or you need to start a walking group, that's what I did, Greg. Middle COVID, like no money. I couldn't justify it. I'm a trainer. I love moving. You couldn't get me out of bed if you tried. Doom and gloom. What the heck? I just started inviting my girlfriend's business owners for a walk. And it's turned into this huge thing now, like, 70 women showing up at the mall in the middle of winter to walk. And it's wholehearted conversations. We talk about health and wellness and often about what's going on in our business. So get that community, get that bit of movement, however it looks. Like it doesn't need to be big, but it just kind of needs to happen. And those are like my 4 things.
You made a comment about endurance. I want to discuss that a little bit with you because it almost in some ways sounds like a contradiction because you're talking, well, endurance. And for me, endurance is the ability to take a lot of punishment over an extended period of time. And yet you're talking about cycles. What cycles is sprints.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Dennis. When I was 10 years younger, that's what I thought too. Endurance means like crush. No.
Right.
To do the best you possibly can with the least amount of effort for the longest extended period of time. And now with business, with predictable KPIs all at the same time. So that my nervous system can go like this. So part of it, the whole like work as hard as you like, yeah, and decide. I don't know. Like, sure, Greg will tell you, Naomi should open a gazillion other aesthetics places and find everybody that has like 300 square foot they want to sublease and roll. He's not wrong. He's absolutely not wrong. The business model, it makes sense. Do I know how to do all of it like the back of my hand? Yeah. But what I can't confirm and predict is how I'm going to feel while I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I think in a case like that, it's using that as an example. It's finding everybody's pace level, whatever word you want to use, is going to be different. And it's going to depend on age, where you're at in life, dependence, personal cash flow and financial situation. Like there's so many factors, right? Health,
Family, kids,
all
if
that
you're
stuff
male
becomes
or
a
female, like
factor. Yeah. So it's just finding that pace that works for you. Yeah. It's finding the pace that works.
Well,
And it's
that's
going
I
to be
what,
different for
do wish I would have learned. So if you're newer in business and you're a female and you're in your late 20s, early 30s, or you're just getting started, like I wish somebody had taught me some of these things early on. I learned more about business specific tools, and I didn't really learn how to manage my mental health and my body. And I see now that that is almost more important. And it's probably not. It's not, but it is now in this phase in my life. Like
Right.
if your business is not profitable, there's no that we're not even having this conversation. So there
if
are
your business
tools,
isn't
but
profitable, the other part's going to go to shit no matter how much you
like
work
they're
on it.
so
Yeah.
interconnected. But I
Yeah.
wish I had just even been
But
given a
they're,
calendar.
yeah.
I don't know, like and Dennis, your ability to like go as hard as you can and crush, that's a very male, like
Yeah.
biologically, you're
well,
going to be able to do that longer. You're not going to have those ebb and flows like we
no,
will.
I disagree on that. And that's what I was kind of going through. Like, I don't believe endurance is what people make it out to be. If you take a
Mm.
look at biology, the most metabolically unhealthy people are triathletes, and they can
Oh,
endure
wow.
a ton of punishment. The
Yeah.
most medically healthy biological athletes are sprinters, and they deal with a great level of punishment over very short periods of time. And then they spend a lot of time in recovery. And when you were talking about the cycles, the luteal cycles, it reminded me directly of know when to sprint and know when to rest, and don't sprint when you're resting. And you
Yes.
talked about that, get a lot of sleep. And for me, that's what endurance is. Endurance is, am I giving myself enough sprints with enough recovery that I can sprint again? Or am I trying to burn myself out because I've got this macho interpretation of endurance, which is excessive amounts of punishment over a long period of time? And I've never found that definition of endurance has been helpful for anybody who's trying to get ahead anywhere.
Oh, I love what you just said, Dennis. I feel the same. Like, and that is the rhythm I mean, right? Like what happens if I just take this week off where I'm super anxious, I'm behind, I'm not sleeping well, I'm self-shaming, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to do in my business. I'm like, I should just go open another location. Like that whole conversation. What if I just like removed myself? It's been 3 months. KPIs haven't changed. What I'm learning to do now is like, how do I regulate my mental health during that week? Like I'm not programmed to take a week off without feeling like a failure. Like I'm programmed to keep working, keep producing. That's how I got love and attention. And
And for
that's
clarity though, it could be like, again, back to the point, everybody's going to be different. So
Yeah.
a checkout could be an hour, a checkout could be a half a day, a checkout could be a day, it could be
Mhm.
2 days, it could be a weekend, it could be a month, it could be a week, it could be whatever, right? I think that's going to be different for everyone.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mhm.
another thing too, biologically, we have parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Like biologically, we're not meant to have cortisol levels high all the time. Like cortisol is like what Dennis is referring to. I think like the healthiest way is like sprinting. Like in animals, for example, like it's 15 minutes. Like the deer, when deer's running away from the lion, cortisol level goes high, fight or flight, 15 minutes. And then they look around, oh, lion's gone. I'm just going to start grazing and I'm, hanging out. Like deer doesn't sit for days and weeks under the tree. Oh my God, I'm so scared of that lion. So like the parasympathetic system is supposed to be the dominant. That's where like more relaxed state versus sympathetic is that catabolic cortisol high all the time. And I think that's where a lot of systems break down, right? So I
Mhm.
like Dennis's analogy about how to optimize your sprints, your rest, so you can sprint again, your rest. It's like we're not meant to be triathlon all the time, all day long.
And I wonder if, like, Naomi, I know we're talking about women's mental health, but I wonder how many times people are feeling depressed and anxious only because of what you're talking about. They haven't learned to ride the cycles.
Yeah.
They haven't learned to sprint when they're supposed to sprint, rest when they're supposed to rest, and getting that proper balance of nutrition. Because what do most people do? They wake up late, they rush to Starbucks, they sugar and carb themselves right up. They don't pay attention to what's actually going on. And then that works for a while and then it breaks. And then
Yeah.
you made a comment of you were on antidepressants, not protein inhibitor pump due to whatever. How many people end up at the doctor medicating themselves out of a situation they medicated themselves into?
I think quite a few. Well, who teaches us? Like, who gives us this handbook of here's the other side to being a successful business owner? or really just a happy, healthy person. But you want your business to thrive. There's no successful business owner that I've seen or personally know that is severely overweight, is a smoker, drinks casually for fun, doesn't have a healthy relationship, doesn't go to the gym often, doesn't, I don't know those. And I don't know anybody who doesn't have a therapist or a business coach, or I don't know a profitable business owner personally that is out not taking that part of their life as importantly as they can. And often the time, the ones that do, they do because they're like, well, I want to make more money. And this is how I make more money. I just take care of myself. I show up better. I'm a better employee. I'm a better, asset to my business.
I can sprint. So you deal with a lot of women in business. So you've talked to a lot of them. So when you find out that they are in a phase you used to be in, or you spot a pattern that they're in that you've overcome before, what's your first piece of advice for them? Like, what's the pattern? What's the advice?
Lately, it's been huge conversations of bringing in an EA. It's been kind of like a support person. They're overwhelmed with communication typically, they can't handle their workload. We're not really, business is important. The doors aren't going to close tomorrow just so that you can be on your luteal phase. So I usually try to support or recommend implementing in an EA right away in the business, or who in the business has 2 to 4 hours a week to check your email, support with client communication. Sometimes just that extra noise, it gives them a little breathing room. Then we have the conversation of how are you sleeping and where are you working out? And then I usually say show me your calendar, show me your calendar. And often when I'm noticing, I say younger business owners, and I mean just newer to business, 5 years or less in operating, they get to a point, well, probably 3 years or less, maybe even in the first year, actually, now that I think about it. But they get super overwhelmed. There's no systems to manage what needs to get done when it needs to get done. And so the next place is do or die, and live or die by your calendar. Show me your calendar and I can tell you how happy you feel in your business, how functional it is, and how your mental health is probably going to be. If it's empty, you're chaotic. And then I say, show me your bank balance.
Yeah. And it matches, right? It's chaotic. And you're probably it's 2 to 4 years. It's probably in that range for most, right? We're talking average person here, right? Some get on the right racetrack day one, get the right advice, do the right stuff, and they can do it in, if you're really rocking and rolling, you can make a business profitable in 18 months, but to do it in a year is tough. But you're right. They're going in total overwhelm. It's probably 2 to 4 years. And that's, if you want to know if a business is going to be successful, it's somewhere in that 2 to 4 year range. They start making money, after paying themselves a wage, meaning that's making money, not just paying yourself a wage. And 95% never make it past that point. And what you're talking about is a big part to get the race car set up properly.
And I would say these amazing humans I've, been able to learn a lot from too. I'm just those are all the patterns I used to do. Oh my gosh, I'm still. They're often the technician in the business still. So they're, I'm going to say, responsible for a minimum of 50% of the revenue gross that's coming in, if not all of it.
More.
Yeah. So, and then they're moms, and then they're there's just a lot on their plate and they don't have any of the systems. So, it's just you have this great business idea. Who is promoting, actually walking around the flex is having, like I said, this group, right? Your business coach, your accountant, that should be the flex in business, not, oh, I don't need a coach. What are you kidding me? We need people around us. So I don't know. I think that's just as important.
If we go back to the calendar, you said, show me your calendar, I'll show you your chaos. I'm starting to put things together here now, which is, if I'm a female in business, you made a couple of things you talked about. Number one is, if you're on any kind of hormone altering substance, get off of it, whether it's a birth control pill or whatever, to understand the cycle. Then what I'm kind of piecing together is, once as a female in business, you understand which premenopause, menopause, whatever cycle you're in, build your calendar around your optimum times for the activities that mean the most to you, and don't plan your optimum times during the time frame when it sucks for you, because it's going to amplify whatever mental health stuff that you're going through.
Yeah, it's kind of like your guys' coaching calendar, right? That 5th week that we have in every month, we're off because it works in the calendar. You guys probably plan your life around rest time and vacation time and all those things, I take that same calendar and I just highlight through. I'm like, these are the 2 weeks of the month that we're operating. I still pick projects to do. We're still doing things, but that's when I'm doing the stuff that's easy for my laptop, that, I'm reviewing P&L. But I'm not actively doing I don't onboard during those times. I'm not, training staff one-on-one during those times. I'm doing more introverted tasks in the business, building a new website on the background, learning many chats, like whatever. Those are the times that I'm doing those things, but I just overlay it. And then I'd say one of the best skills that I took from working with you guys is the power of a schedule. And the predictability, to kind of go back to like that endurance thing. Like, I just want to know what's happening as far ahead as I can so I can just chill. And that was really helpful. So then I was able to, plunk in my non-negotiables. What time am I going to bed? Like, I refuse to take a call after this time, or our team doesn't do any training before this time. I plug in my workouts. I plug in my time with my dogs. I plug in the time that I need to meal prep and cook and do those things. Like, if it's not in your calendar, you're behind because there's nowhere for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Dennis, I'm learning to plug in like recovery time, however that looks. It might be like I go get 2 IVs a week. I'm now plugging in restorative yoga. I literally have free time now to just whatever you want. I have found in the busy seasons, or the go hard time, my life gets kind of chaotic. Like, behind the desk at work gets messy. Inventory is like kind of chaotic because I haven't ordered. So I'm learning different things. My room's a mess. Like, there's laundry to do. So I'm learning, okay, there's some more programming so that I can feel and show up my best, and also have everything looked after that helps me perform the best. But I'm always working on the calendar. Always, always, always. And I'm an overbooker. So that's a new phase for me now. Stop overcommitting to things. Like, I love having events. I'm the yes person. I'm learning to pull back on that now. And that's new for me.
Sorry, you just said something to expand on that, like saying yes to too many things. Warren Buffett always says that. He's like, get better at saying no than yes. Like, what are you saying no to? And probably in a case like that, it's like, want to help people, want to do stuff, want to organize stuff, want to support the community, but can I do everything? No. So what am I saying no to? And that, you got to somehow in that conversation or decision-making process, you got to bring an ROI thought process into it, right? Like, that thing I'm doing, is it going to bring some kind of ROI? And the ROI doesn't always have to be money. It could be whatever you value is important to you or the company, and that's great. So the return could be whatever you value it to be.
But saying yes to something means that you're saying no to something as well. So This is new for me in business, right? Like, and if you're newer, you're like, okay, like, we got to do all the things. I got to be at this event. I got to go start this marketing group. I got to go be part of the chamber. I got to volunteer. We got to do the giveaways online, like all the things. And now I'm like, okay, but I've been saying no to myself for 10 years. And this isn't helpful because I didn't build this business. Even if it makes money, if I'm unhappy and I'm exhausted all the time and medically unwell, well, this is not good. Yeah. So I don't know. It's a new phase, you guys. I'm in a new chapter. Like, I love my business. It's profitable. I still have, depending on the week, I'm like, oh my God, let's go. Like, I can open up 5 more. And then I'm like, burn it all down. And every month, friends, doesn't matter.
What you're also talking about, though, I think this is going to vary by person, but a perspective is, it's great for someone in a situation making money to say, hey, to someone in a situation who can't pay their mortgage, to say, hey, take me time, be organized, all that stuff. Because I remember when I was in that situation, I'm like, I gotta go hit the racetrack and sprint, but sprint for a long period of time, turn a sprint into a marathon and get exhausted. But you're usually younger. But it's for that person, it's really hard, right? Because you got to find the. Sometimes when people are in a can't pay my bills situation and they're like, well, it's about work-life balance. I'm like, no. I get it. But if you can't pay your mortgage, you can work-life balance all you want. And when you're balanced, you're going to be so stressed you can't pay your bills that you're not going to have that work-life balance anyway. So that's a tough, and there's no black or white answer on that. That's such a gray subject. It depends totally on the person, but people have to watch for that, right? Because like, I always try and watch. I don't tell people that are still trying to pay their bills to overly work-life balance because that's not fair, because then they may not ever be able to pay their bills and they're always going to be stressed.
Yeah.
So that's a super gray area.
And I think work-life balance, I struggle with it so much because, like the programming in me, the Asian mother immigrant, no, like you suck if you have work-life balance. Like that's literally like, okay, that's what lazy people do. So I intrinsically just a little bit, like I believe in it, but also it's the season. Like what does work-life balance look like in the beginning of your business than like 5 years down the
Yeah.
road or 10 years down the road?
Totally. Yeah.
I think here, no matter what though, like I never knew the importance of the value of having a healthy body and healthy mind and how it was going to affect the bottom line of my business. And I think if I made that a bigger priority, just like firing quick, like that's poison in your business, like not taking your physical health and your mental health so seriously. And I don't mean, Greg, like work-life balance, you need to like block out time. Like we're opening a new business. That means like, damn right, I better move my body. I got to be like up at 5 a.m. I have to fuel I better have a lunch in my car. Like I'm drinking water all day. Like I'm making sure that I'm doing the hardest things in the day, in the time of day where I have the most energy. So for me, it's first thing in the morning. I'm not doing one-on-one coaching, implementing, selling. I'm not taking sales calls at 9:00 at night. Like that's just not me. So the biggest drivers in the business, I make sure are in my calendar at the time that makes sense for my biology, but I take my physical health and my mental well-being just as seriously as the need to pay my rent.
And you can probably, from your experience, because you were in that industry and still sort of are, like someone can do that in a short period of time every day, right? Like prepare their meals, and it doesn't need to be half the day.
I should have showed you what my breakfast was, you guys. It was a can of tuna and an avocado that I didn't even have a spoon for because I was so busy running from meeting to meeting. I pulled open the avocado, I used the shell, and I only buy cans of tuna now with a self-sealing lid because there's no excuse.
That would have been a really good meme or little video, right? Like,
I kind of should have taken a picture because I was like, this is so
Totally.
a Naomi thing. But well, what was the difference? Go through the drive-through and feel like shit, or know that I was coming on this call and like my blood sugar was going to tank at 12. I got other things to do. Like I'm going to feel like shit for the rest of the day. And like, that means I lose a business productivity day. Like I can't have that. So yeah, I don't know. Mental health is hard when you struggle with it, but if you're not setting yourself up with the basic tools to help it function better, your brain perform better, like you got no luck when you're a new business owner. Like this is hard work and you need people, you need coaches, you need experts, you need doctors, you need friends, you need people who know you, and you got to advocate for yourself more than anyone else will, because usually we are the last, like we're the free labor. So we will do all the things all the time.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, you're talking about the leaders, which by the way, I totally agree.
I have a question, Naomi. So you touched a little bit about like Greg pushed you to, hey, go open a bunch of locations. So what I wanted to ask you, does it stop you from opening another location because you know how much like stress it's going to cause to like add another, location and building it up? Or I have another spin. As women, we have this motherly instinct. And I know you take care of your employees so well that if you spread yourself then over multiple locations, will you be able to take care of your employees the same level you are in this one location? Like, I feel like maybe it could be a bit of a crutch for women potentially, is this like motherly instinct where, and again, Dennis and Greg, you can tell me your opinion. As men, I think like you probably way easier they would take this like approach like, well, 80-20. If I could take care of them 80%, 20 is okay if they're, not taken care of. Where I think women potentially would be like, no, I want to take care of everybody 100%. Doesn't matter how much it's going to cost me. Is that true for you or no?
She's like true for Naomi or true for guys?
Oh, for me. Oh, I thought you meant for
Naomi.
guys.
Sorry.
Oh,
well,
yes,
from both.
absolutely.
I want to hear from you, but I want to hear from Naomi first.
Yeah, I mean, I have sold one business, and Greg kind of helped me through that process. And I do remember like the whole time, like so worried about what was going to happen to the team.
Yeah.
Namely, like you guys, they didn't ask for a raise for 4.5 years. I mean, also if you're not sharing, general KPIs with your team. Like, one, they can help you move the needle, but two, when you're stuck, they can also help you move the needle because they know where they can contribute, why things are important, how to squeeze another dollar, another sale, like all the things. Anyways, so I was very transparent with KPIs the whole time. Also, this whole situation of COVID wasn't my fault, but here we are and we got to pick up. So not one of them asked for a raise the entire time. I didn't have a single staff leave. So I just felt so indebted to them. So that motherly, they were the asset when we were selling. I had, this $850,000 build out worth like nothing because it's worth, no one tells you to not put that kind of money into a TI that you don't own, but you do. It's really worth whatever anyone's going to pay for it. And it was fitness and no bank was lending on fitness. So we were stuck. Anyways, I finally sold, learned how to sell, learned a lot about what I would never do again. I learned about negotiating all the things. And what I always carried here at the forefront of my mind was how well were they going to be taken care of? What were they going to be looked after? Were they going to still have the jobs? And guess what, guys? I did all the work. I cared. I stressed. I changed decisions. I negotiated differently in my sale because I was so worried about them. Guess what? 90% of them don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
So I suffered a lot. And now you're asking and thinking about, the second location. I talked to Greg a couple months ago. I was like, here's my pro forma. Here's what I think. Do you think I should, and really, I know I was hesitant because energetically I was worried about the same things you're talking about, Sandra. And I just needed someone else to tell me that the numbers were good enough. It's dumb not to do it. So here we are. I still haven't opened. That last tenants had a bailiff. I just actually went there before this call to check out this place and go stand there and be like, does this feel good? Should I do this? What the heck? What am I worried about? My staff, which I think is great, but I'm leaning into what is best for Naomi is also going to be the best for the business. So long-winded question. I'm still learning about that, but I also know that's a little bit of my own personal problem. I put everybody first. I get so much from helping and developing and giving back. And I think now in my 40s, I'm like, okay, well, it's time for Naomi to start, making some sick cash, teaching, sharing what she knows, but at a, what's going to be best for me. So I don't know if that helps.
So is it still a stress on you more that's worrisome, or more oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to take care of two teams at the same time? I'm just curious.
Well, they're the same team, which I'm lucky about because no one leaves me, which is also I'm so blessed for. They stay with me because I think there's just lots that we can do to keep employees super happy. And those are my investments. I'm very, very serious about them. I've spent years developing them, sales coaching, training, their expertise. I'm not just going to let them walk out the door. So yeah, I do really consider the value of them. Also, I intrinsically care about them, but I also recognize at the same time my limitations are different than they were. My capability is not, and capacity was not what it was 10 years ago. I'm wiser now. I think I could be more efficient, but yeah, I don't know. It's a new season for me. I don't know. I know what it's like to open.
Scary. Yeah,
I opened
think
Kensington.
It's scary a little bit
too soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know we have in Greg's clients, and I don't know if Dennis has clients like that too, where you see the women, especially, they're super successful at what they're doing now. But when it comes to growth, there's a bit of a block. There's whether it's emotional, mental, the numbers say no, go for it. But there's that well, I'm not going to step in. I know there's guys as well, men in our program as well.
But you're generalizing, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm generalizing, but I went through the same thing.
We see
Building brand new business, holy, I didn't know a lot about my health, and all of a sudden, my clothes don't fit anymore. So, and it comes with 14 hours working, on my feet, on concrete floor. Oh my gosh, I have stress fracture on my foot, and I haven't even gone running because I'm standing on concrete floor and lifting heavy bags, and and then the world is well, you've been wearing bras all your life. Why are you having issues trying to figure out what new bra to buy? Because holy, my body is not the same as it was, right? So when it comes to that point, do I want to keep pushing? Because I know what it takes, even though I'm smarter. So I feel there is that, right? We've gone through super difficult times, and then we prepared to keep pushing.
Yeah. And part of this whole, oh, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
No, go ahead, Naomi.
I think this mental health talk, and that's where the hesitation comes in, right?
Yeah.
Also, all I know is I did everything, right? Opening a new business, the trauma, the memory, the program, the tools I know are, I do the thing. I'm the only one that does the thing. And so I think like the mental shift has to be, okay, like what support do I need to do the next thing? What do I have to build into? How much more money do I need in the operation to be able to handle one more support staff that helps execute this, and this, right? Like I can't be in two places at once. That's like so true. So can you afford that? And what does that look like? And as women, we're the moms, we're the ones that do everything. That's, in our biology. So of course we're hesitant because we're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Well, guess what? You're not supposed to do it by yourself.
And there's probably an aspect, and I learned this from my Uncle John, that hesitation of, and for sure, I would agree for women, this is more of a hesitation than men, the whole like motherly take care of your team. But another way to think about it is as you grow, there's more customers that need to be taken care of. Because if you're doing a better job, than your competition or the industry, then actually it's kind of your responsibility to take care of more people in theory. And then look at a team. If you don't grow, then those people working elsewhere in your industry out there or wherever they're working are probably working like 95% of companies fail. That's a fact, right? So those employees out there that are working for somebody else are in a stressful environment, whatever that looks like, right? Because the company's not doing well. So if you're doing well and you know how to do well, and again, this is a totally different perspective, right? But as you grow, if you can grow at a pace that works, every individual's different. You grow at a pace that works for you. But you grow at a pace that works for the company where you can bring more people under that umbrella and bring them into a successful environment, whether they're customers or staff, you're actually doing good. You're fueling that motherly instinct, or for just anybody who cares, right? That makes sense. Like that was his way of putting it to me. And I'm like, that's totally different than anybody else. Like nobody ever explained it to me like that before. I was like, cause he grew like crazy. And that was part of it because he gave a shit about people. And his point was, if they work for us, they got security, they got leadership, direction, like they can grow, they can flourish. If they're working for somebody else, they're not going to get that. And I look back now and I'm still in contact with so many people I used to work with, and they're out in the world now doing the like unbelievable things. So many people I worked with in that umbrella are now doing things that are like, that's really cool. They're in all sorts of leadership roles all over the world in all sorts of different companies. But they wouldn't have had that opportunity if he didn't grow and bring more and more under the umbrella, right? Again, pick your pace. You got to pick your pace that works. But that might help with a motherly instinct thing, right?
That's true. Another big help too, let's say opening another location, now you're rolling in your fixed expenses. So like if I open the first location, it's a lot harder because like the runway of break even would be longer, but the second location should be a lot sooner because now your fixed expenses are totally different.
And they become easier and easier and easier.
Yeah. And you're not spending as much time building systems, right? I think that is a lot of work. Yeah.
Because like Greg and I talk about a lot, like, oh, we should buy another business. And I'm like, oh my God, like it was so hard to build that one. Like, how am I going to do it again? But at the same time, I think the learning lesson for me would be the whole motherly instinct. Because I think like, I don't know how about you, Naomi, but like I don't have kids. You don't have kids. Like our pets and our employees are our kids. And we like the helicopter moms, making sure everybody's like secure, everybody's good, But I think the biggest lesson for us would be, and you tell me what you think, like for me, is like making those kids self-responsible, empowering them to make their own decisions. Like for me, and this is kind of like maybe like a weird thing to say, but like one of my employees, she took so much ownership of her role in the business. People thought she was an owner. Like our customers thought she was owner of our store. And I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like it's super cool. It's actually with 2 employees like that. They were like, my customers like, you were the owner? No, I thought that like this. And I'm like, this is so cool.
That 14-year-old was the owner.
I love that. No, I hate when, I love that. That's great.
So I think like for me, like I'm a lot smarter. I'm older, I'm a lot smarter. Like I have all the tools that you just, wrote it all down. Like if you implement that in your personal life and then that like, okay, like I'm just going to give you more responsibility to share that stress load. I think that would help a whole lot to just like, okay, we're ready for next, because I'm not ready to retire, right?
Yeah, I know.
And you
That's the
gotta
thing.
think,
It's like, I
you gotta
think
think of,
about this 24/7.
yeah, you gotta think about what happens when we retire, because I think that's another thing, difference between men and women. Men are like, okay, we gotta provide not just for me, but for the rest of the family, right? To make sure, and not only for the rest of the family, but for the kids' families as well. Where I think women sometimes we sit back a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, we make enough money that to pay our bills or whatever, and we don't think that long term. That I think men has that natural pressure of like protecting and taking care of everybody, right?
I think it's that piece of like build your business to sell, like we're
That's a
building a
big, yeah,
sellable asset. That's like a third piece that, you know,
yeah,
I wish I would
perfect.
have learned, or a mindset I would have had in the beginning, right? That, I think now it's a huge flex that I was able to sell a business and get out as little as like, least unscathed as I could. And considering what happened, I think that was great. And now I have, friend business owners that are selling their businesses, and they're afraid to tell people that they have this amazing profitable business with built-in systems, and that they're selling it for a huge chunk of
Yep.
change. And they're ashamed of telling people, this is the whole point.
Yep.
And I have a lot of other business owners that are, in business for, 19, 25 plus years, and they're shit out of luck right now. They've dedicated how many decades to building this profitable asset. They have no succession plan. Their books are kind of a mess. Like, they've been a little lazy in business because they could the last 10 years. They're rolling. And now what? What's going to happen? Well, they're not quitting their business. Like you said, they still kind of want to work, but they're going to start just folding.
And that
it's a
light
lot
bulb
of work
doesn't
to
go
sell.
on until they kind of hit a certain age, and then all of a sudden the light bulb starts going on. And the unfortunate part is, in many cases, it's getting right towards the end of the game and you're too many points behind. You don't stand a chance of winning.
Yeah, or you're taking a big, potential earnings, cut, like profit loss, because in order to move it quick, you're going to have to sell it for nothing. And then also, it's not just selling the paper. It's it's the unraveling of the business. That's a lot of energy. That took me,
Yeah.
I'd
Oh
say
my gosh.
selling my business was almost, and it was a 1.5 year process, like the whole thing. I would say there was unknown grief. Dennis, that was a big piece of mental health, like the PTSD trauma stuff. I had never anticipated. If you've read Cody Sanchez's, what is it? Wall Street Millionaire? No, Main Street Millionaire. That book, Everyday Businesses, Selling, Buying the Things. I wish I had that book before I sold my business, just for my mental health. I was completely on my ass. I had no idea what the grief was going to be like, plus the shame, and how hard it was to lose those relationships, Sandra. Like the kids, like my kids, the staff, going from seeing your customers every day and like showing up, like that whole breakdown of identity. I was completely unprepared. And for 2 years, I was like, Greg, I got to sell my business. Like, we got to sell my business. This is all we were doing. Build out to sell orange. Like that was the plan. And then I had the plan, and then boom. It was almost like the hardest mental health period in business for me was after the selling. Yeah, actually, for real. And I wasn't set up. I didn't have my people. I didn't have systems. I had no calendar. I was like free agent. I was like, I didn't really work in OO, ran itself. It was great. So there's no one to wake up to. I didn't have to go to class. I didn't have to pack a lunch because I was at home all the time. I didn't have community. I wasn't going to therapy. I was flat out, and it was a very shitty, sorry time. But then I had to start running my body and my mind like the business again and get back to the basics. So I don't know. It's a rant, but that's been my experience so far.
But all of that ties back into what we've been talking about, right? How much of mental health is PTSD? How much of mental health is not understanding cycles and phases? How much of mental health is trying to do too much too fast for too long without actually planning out when is the best phases for sprints? You made this comment earlier, just before this rant, and it really stuck out to me was, I know I have to expand, but maybe I'll wait till I'm past this phase. Like you're aware of the right time and the wrong time to do things. And the vast majority of people, our only education is YouTube videos and other public speakers who talk about business is a marathon, just go run. Like it's not, though. It's a series of enduring sprints, but knowing when, how, and what to do at the right time matters more than medications.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And but that comes with experience though too, right? Like try to tell a new person in business, like a baby business person, it's their, 6 months to a year to like, maybe this isn't the time to open the second business. No, They're like, I'm profitable. Like, I'm making some money. Like, they don't know about paying back their debts. They don't like, they just want, they want to grow. Like, that's
wanna
what we
chase that
think in
revenue.
business. Yeah. I'm like, well, can you do this exact thing for 25 years? Like, can you, while building out other things? And, like, no one's thinking like that in the beginning, but
And they get a lot of bad advice. Oof.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Well,
they're like,
either no advice
I
or
can't
bad
afford it.
advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't think is any different than mental health. I think a lot of people out there get a lot of bad advice, or they get no advice, or they're whatever. Like, no different than business. It's you become a product of what you've been through and what you know and what you're willing to listen to and adapt to. And I would say to anybody listening to this, if you're going through a mental health thing, test something different. If you're a female, track your cycle. If you are a guy, guys have cycles too. Male testosterone peaks around 11:30 noon every day. Understand when when to play the game and when not to play the game. And I've set up my entire life to run alongside my hormone cycle because I understand what it is. It changes my performance, right? So I don't feel guilty when I take afternoons off because I understand I'm not effective in the afternoon. Why try to tread against the current? Why not just ride it for a bit? So I think a lot of people need to, before they run off for medication, look at, well, what's the things I can change and who do I talk to? Somebody like yourself, Naomi, or someone who's been through it. It says, maybe I should just alter small things first.
Well, it's like building skills, right? Building knowledge, building skills. It takes time to do. Like, I couldn't, I say learn all these things. Like, I couldn't have learned this all in the first 6 months
No.
of business. No,
Not a chance.
no.
But also, just like every business is different, every body is different too, right? Like, I cannot say, hey, Naomi, you have to eat the same I eat and you're going to succeed, right?
Doesn't
Like,
work.
you're not going to have digestive issue. It doesn't work. And I think another really interesting thing is just like we completely ignore, this is just society overall. It's not, not your program, guys, but like society is like, oh yeah, just as Naomi said, like, we're going to work long hours. I'm going to not eat. Because I'm just going to, like, new business owner, I'm just going to jump in and just see what happens. And at the end, I just created a stressful job. If I could go work for somebody 9 to 5, I'd be way less stressed than I'm working 9 to 9 or 9 to 12. We don't, like, societies, like, they don't teach, like, if you start a business, you got to build a valuable asset that you can sell one day that can fuel your next adventure or endeavor or your retirement. And then same with like health, right? Like, we're looking at the things that you're like, you're tracking, like, what are you doing with that? Like, what's the end goal? The end goal that when you retire, you actually still have energy to go do things versus like have autoimmune disease that you can't, and then you're in grave the next year. I know it's sad, but like, it's this putting system in place in the health deliberately, putting systems in the business deliberately to build an asset, whether it's like your health or your like financial health, right? Like, we got to change that mentality because 99% of people don't think like that.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to just like you count in your business and you have to land on some spreadsheet somewhere. Like, if you aren't tracked, if you aren't, and I don't mean your stats, but like if you don't take your sleep and eating and moving your body like as a priority, just like paying your rent on time and paying payroll on time, like, you're not going to make it long term. Like, I don't care
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
And then we build from there because I think it's so
and your
complex
business will
and-
suffer. Your business will suffer along the way.
And then that comes back to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to make more money and feel like on fire. Like, you got to take care of your body and you got to take care of your mind. Like, you got to make it a priority, like, not even just for your personal enjoyment, but for straight profit, like, purposes. We're always going to be the asset to your business. So.
It's such a cool thing because right now we have so many tools, and with
Mhm.
AI and all that, like, there's just so many tools. Like why are you not healthy? It's literally, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's ignorance, right? Like,
Yeah.
at this point, like, there's so much information that even like small changes could make a really big difference.
And it's like this, like, I don't know if this resonates at all, but like this business resiliency, this business toughness. Like, if you don't build your armor, you're like, business is hard. Like, you're going to get shit thrown to you. You're going to staff walk out, like, whatever. Like, that's all business is like one fire after another. And like, you just like learn how to fix the problem, make the system, implement, and then like you move on. But it's learning lesson after learning lesson and hard thing after hard thing. And if you're not physically like well and strong and your brain isn't firing properly and your mind isn't thinking happy, excited thoughts, like you can't even fight your way through the next solution. Like you won't make it. You will not make it. So I don't think a lot of business owners that I see that are new starting take that, their body, their mental health, their well-being, their performance as seriously as they could. And if they did, I'd be like, let's look at your bank account in a year. Like that gets me fired up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I know a lot of guys who have the attitude of, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And they just keep going and they just keep pushing through. And it's, I don't have time. I know this is about women's mental health, men's mental health too. You're talking here about biological optimization more than you're talking about anything else. It's optimize the biology and everything else falls into place. And I know at college, all kinds of people who do all-nighters. And I found out that past 18 hours a week, I get sick. I can't do it. So what do I do? Do I listen to these guys who say pull all-nighters and put the other 6 hours of myself through hell and into the next day because that's what everybody says to do? Understand the biological rhythms. Understand the way that all plays first before seeking medication and escapism.
That's like your next book, Dennis. That should be like a chapter or like a chunk of training in your guys' program.
Biological
like,
optimization.
Yeah, actually. And I think that's the coolest.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say it that way, but yeah, like, well, that's what we're doing in our business all the time, right? We're optimizing systems.
Right.
So why are we not? And then the power of being able to communicate that to your staff too. Like it's a thing. If you come to school, and you don't have a packed lunch, like you're not the cool girl at work.
Yep.
You didn't have a workout before you got to work. You're not the cool girl.
Yeah.
And obviously I know it makes my staff happier, but also they make more money. They are better to clients in the day. They make more, like the wins are across the board. So the biology, like learning how to harness it and optimize it. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like it'd be worth a thing.
I think that's why we're doing these podcasts too. Cause technically it would be like, why are we talking about women's or men's hormones in a More Profit, Less Stress podcast? It's like super closely related though, right? Because we could like blame the world. We could blame our family. We could blame our friends. We could blame all kinds of like economic, situation, all kinds of things. But it's like, how do you know that, like, what are you paying attention to? Like the negativity and all that kind of stuff. Like, how do you know that's not coming from chemistry within that's going on today and your ability to handle things, right? Like,
I think consumption is a big thing.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about that, like social media or anything in mental health as business owners, right? Like you kind of did, Dennis. You kind of talked about like what you see on Instagram, people just like go and move and like, a big piece of my mental health lately is really, really limiting social media consumption. I live in imposter syndrome. I live in like, I'm not doing enough. Oh my God, look at her and her business. Holy cow. Like, she's making $6 million in, 3 years selling fish. What? So there's this like comparison thing. Yeah, this is like the new rave right now. Like I've been eating sardines for years, but now they're trendy. And there's a girl online that I've been following for a few years, and now she had her first $6 million year. And anyways, I'm jealous. So I have to watch my consumption.
You become a product of your environment, right? That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Well,
and you can define environment however you want to define it, but it includes everything. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And everything has its own form of compound interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lack of movement has its own compound interest. Wrong movement has its own compound interest. Bad diet has its own compound interest. Manipulating hormones at a young age has a compound interest by the time you get to become adult. Everything compounds. So I think if people understood that too, that whatever I'm digesting on social media compounds my mental state. Everything I'm doing financially compounds the final result. It would change the way people approach life too.
Yeah. I had to get some like tools. I have a brick. Does anybody use a brick? I'll show you. 1 second.
Yeah, I used to throw it through windows when I was a kid, and that got me in trouble. But
Okay, I use 2 tools. This is not a plug, but everybody I know has them because I was like coming out of selling a business and then not having like a schedule was really hard for my mental health because I was just like, there was no, I needed that. Stuff wasn't getting done efficiently. I was suffering. It was just all bad. So I got a brick. That blocks my phone. I can't touch my phone for however many hours. And then I got this cute little timer. And then my rocks, my big rocks, little rocks are all like, they're like 20-minute tasks or 50-minute tasks or 5-minute tasks. When I got to do a rock, I just put the timer down. I feel like I'm in elementary school all over again, but I don't know, it
It
worked.
works.
The little tools
It works.
worked this, for 6 months. And as you start building momentum and you start seeing the results and, your habits come back into place, and I was eating better, sleeping better, moving more, getting more stuff done in my business, like you said, it compounds and, you get back to being on fire, and then you're excited to keep going. I don't know if those helped.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
for sure. It's accountability and structure.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think lots of entrepreneurs really suck at, to be honest. We're too ADD.
I didn't
some of
become
us.
an entrepreneur to be accountable.
No, I came to work 24/7 and have no boss, but have the pressure of having a boss inside your head that never stops talking.
So Naomi, okay, how do people give a quick, what is O Aesthetic, the company you own now, and what does it kind of do real quick, and how do people find you? And what geographic area do you help, and how do people find you?
Yeah. In person, we service patients and clients in Alberta, Canada. And O Aesthetics is a med spa that is now transitioning to offer women's hormonal health. We have a naturopath coming on board, and we have a beautiful nurse practitioner and a fleet of other nurses. So
Nice.
I'm super passionate. It's following all the things that I'm going through in life, but I love clear skin and anything that can help you feel confident and feel better in your body.
Nice.
They can find us on Instagram or online, www.oaesthetics.com or oaesthetics.can. And of course, myself on Instagram, Naomi Keane.
And you had said like 1-to-1 you do Alberta, but you do virtual as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We do. Yeah. Alberta's just
Nice.
easier for regulations and blood work and all those
Right.
kinds of things. So keeping it easy for my mental health.
Nice. Naomi, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. I hope people got some perspective and insight out of this, and some inspiration, actually, which I think they
Me
will.
too.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to the More Profit, Less Stress podcast. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform, and leave a comment or review if you're feeling generous. To learn more about us and what we do, check out our website. Until next time, take care.